So in our previous video, we showed how we can manage users in our Microsoft 365 admin portal. Now we can also manage users for our Microsoft 365 in Entra ID. So let me show you how to do that. We're going to come down here to our show all, and this is going to show us all of our admin centers. And the one we want is identity right here. This is my identity admin center. So I'm going to click on that and make sure I'm logged in as the right user. And this is the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. So I can manage my users here. So if I go to users and look at all users, we're going to see Bilbo Baggins, me, Frodo Baggins, the ones we created previously. Now, so let me put it this way. When I go into my Microsoft 365 Admin Center and I create a user, it actually creates them in Entra ID. It just gives me another way to do that without having to come here. So just like I can create users there, I can create users here with one variance. So I can create a user and manage users, delete users, all of that. So if I go to Bilbo Baggins, here's my user information. I can edit the properties. I have group memberships, applications, assigned roles, assigned licenses, edit other properties here. I can look at all of their properties here that I can manage. So there are going to be some differences, but I'm basically working with the same bank of users. So let's create a new user here, just so we can see what this looks like. So I'm going to click on New User, and let's do this one as SGAMG. And the display name is going to be Samwise GAMG. Now, just like before, I can auto-generate the password or not. I can also choose to disable the account here. So I can create an account that's disabled that I will be able to enable later, and I can kind of pre-stage the account. So I can auto-generate my password or type in my own password if I have a standard one I like to use for everybody that I onboard. Notice that there's slightly different requirements here. Must contain at least 3 of the lowercase characters, uppercase characters, numbers, and symbols. So let me go ahead and auto-generate one here. And then if I want to display it, I can look there and see what it is. I can also copy that to my clipboard. So let's click Next. So here are properties: first name, Samwise, GAMG. Which type is this going to be, a member or a guest? We can set their job information, contact information, parental controls. Notice there's some more options here than if I do it in the Microsoft 365 one. And that's why Microsoft gives us both, right? Even though I'm creating a user in Microsoft, or could be creating a user in the Microsoft 365 admin, it's still going to be an Entra ID user. But the Microsoft 365 Admin Center gives me things that are or options that they think are going to be relevant for that. Entra ID gives me options that are going to be available for anything, or not available, but options that are going to be applicable. That's the word that I want. So assignments, I can put them in a group right now. We'll deal with groups a little bit later. I'm going to click on Review and create my user. Successfully created new user. Let me go ahead and refresh this. And here is Samwise GAMG. Okay, one thing. I said this is going to be pretty much the same, except for one thing that's going to be different. So I'm going to open up Frodo Baggins, and right here you're going to see my assigned licenses is 1. And if I click on that, I've got a Microsoft 365 business license assigned to him. If I go to Samwise, my assigned license is a 0. So when you create the user in Microsoft 365 Admin Center, it assumes they're going to be a Microsoft 365 user, so it gives you the option to assign the license right there. Here, it didn't. So no licenses are assigned. So if I want to add, remove licensing assignments, I have to go to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Now we'll do that in just a minute. We've already shown how we can edit a user though, right? We can go to a user, we can click on the username, we can edit their properties, we can reset their password, we can manage the view, we can look up monitoring. If they had a previous premium license, we could. All right, so let me assign that. Oh, real quick before I do that, so I can edit a user, I can also delete users from here as well. And then here I have my bulk operations. So bulk create, bulk invite, bulk delete. And again, these are going to be slightly different than doing it in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Because, again, this is focusing on Active Directory, not Microsoft 365. So I need to go to my Microsoft 365 Admin Center, which I have right here. And I'm going to go to my users. Had to scroll up so I could find them. Go to my active users, and right here is Samwise Gamgee. And right here you're going to see that Samwise is unlicensed. That's the one drawback to creating users who are going to use Microsoft 365 in Azure rather than in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So what I'll do is I'll click on Samwise Gamgee and make all of my changes here, including right here, licenses and apps. So I'm going to give him a Microsoft 365 business license. Again, I need to have my location set, which defaults to the United States because that's where I'm at. Click Save Changes, and we are all set. Samwise Gamgee now is a Microsoft 365 licensed member. Okay, fairly straightforward. Remember, you can deal with users in both, in either Entra ID or just Entra now, or in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. It's just is going to kind of depend on what you want. Now, one caveat to that, some organizations will do separate administrative controls for different admins. So you might have a user or an administrator whose job it is to create users, and another one whose job it is to assign licenses. So in that case, you might want to give the first one access to Azure. I keep doing that, to Entra, but not to Microsoft 365. So it depends on if you're going to do that separation of authority. Okay, there we go. We now have a couple of different ways to create and manage users.